Pocket knife. So this was a prepper video. I have a basic question. Where do you keep your Bugout Kit? I mean, where do you put it? I mean, you want it to be, you want to be able to grab it really fast. You definitely don't want to have to search for it. But you don't want it in the way. You don't want it. You don't necessarily want it right there next to the front door. But then that's a great place to have it. So where do you put it? That's my big question. We sort of have to. There's Lucky. We sort of have to make do with what we have. We're not in a financial position to have much of anything. We have a lot of books. We get a lot of the books free. Free piles at garage sales and yard sales. Other times people will be selling them for like $5 for a buck or $5 for a quarter. But and a lot of what we do have is kind of thrown together. And like instead of a full set of pots and pans, we just had to get what we could here and get what we could there. And the same goes for storage. We just have to do, you know, what we can here or there. I mean, we live off $1,000 a month. And not like we have much. But my question is, and we live in very, how would you say, tight?
Yes.
Very tight circumstance. The apartment's in good order. Don't get me wrong. It's just it's small. For two people, it's small. It's more like a one-person apartment, a single-person apartment. And another question is, you know, you don't want your things scattered all over the place. So how do you organize your, I don't want to say bug-out bag, but your bug-out kit? That includes anything and everything that you would grab. Another question is, how do you plan for a place to go? We don't have the gas just to go driving around looking for a place to build some sort of semi-permanent shelter or a long-term shelter. We don't have a pick-em-up truck. You know, because if we could get some like railroad ties, you know, that's something that could possibly be scavenged. Then, and you know, a couple of shovels, we could go out somewhere and build a shelter, an underground shelter, or partially underground shelter. But
and there's plenty of large boulders up here.
Yeah, and there are plenty of large boulders up here. We could. Oh, it was a gunshot thing on the news, and there was something that they just advertised for the national news that
or ABC News.
ABC News, very anti-gun. They show their bias. They don't hide their bias. It was, you know, they were talking about high-capacity magazines
in a military situation.
This, to them, is a high-capacity magazine. This is a 30-round magazine. They don't want us to have these. Yeah, things are getting scary. You know, I don't like that. I don't like my wife having to put up with this stuff.
The only thing that bothers me is somebody who lives next to me.
Yeah.
I'd like to see vanish in the thin air.
So, okay, so my questions are, how do you organize everything that you would take? where do you put this stuff? How do you plan for, I don't know, you want to say a wilderness retreat? Where we live, it's not like you couldn't find wilderness up here. You know, there aren't that many big cities. I mean, to me, the city of Keene is big, but that's the way my outlook on the world. I lived in San Antonio from '86 to 2008, 9, 2011. So before that, I lived in the hill country. You know, one town I lived in, it had a name, it had a store, but it had no population. Then another town I sort of lived in, I didn't actually live in the town, I lived outside the town. And then when I lived in Houston, I didn't live in Houston. I lived in a small farming town outside of Houston. Even though everybody referred to it as Houston, once they put a phone book out, it was about that thick. And that included 7 or 8 towns, white pages and yellow pages. And now that little farming town is a part of Houston. I mean, our phone number was included in the Houston phone book. But our phone number was also included in that little phone book that was about that big, that included 7 or 8 towns. So I kind of, you know, I mean, I've experienced the big city and I've experienced small towns. My hometown in Spain was, it's, physically it cannot grow except up unless you go out into the water. But if somebody could help us out with, one, where do you put your kit? 2, how do you organize things? And 3, what do you do about a place to go? You know, I'd appreciate any help you can. I think Lucky needs to go out, so
Lucky.
I will be.
Baby.
He's sniffing around the kitchen. That's not always good.
Hey.
So bye bye, everybody.